My name is Terri Diaz, and I am from Orlando, Florida. I am so many things. I'm a real estate agent by trade, but I do a lot of advocacy work. So I run the Breast Implant Illness Florida Support Group. I am co-founder of GPAC, which is a global patient advocacy coalition with Robert Tout. And I also help facilitate the Breast Implant Health Summit with Danielle Valores. Life before implants was very active. I had three beautiful, rambunctious boys that I was running around with, chasing them around. They were all in independent ages, but really a fun age at that time, just before my implants. I was at the healthiest I'd ever been. I was working out. I felt really good, except for I felt like something was missing, which were perky, larger breasts. And that is why I opted to get implants. So what motivated me to get implants in the first place was, at the time, my ex-husband was very much a boob man, I guess you would say. And so that kind of influenced me because I know that he would look around and see beautiful women and be like, oh, isn't she beautiful? So you kind of think, well, that means I'm not enough. So between that and society, I think those two had a big role to play. So as soon as I had my implants placed, I noticed a few changes. The first one was immediate weight gain, where I could not lose any of the weight. It just kind of stuck to me. And then the other one was migraines. And this was like within weeks of having them put in place. And then I just attributed it to my work. We just started a new business. I attributed it to my busy lifestyle. I attributed it to my children, just trying to keep up with them. 4 years about into my, after having my implants placed, I started feeling like I had flu-like symptoms. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. I had dizzy spells. I was diagnosed with colitis, and I was hemorrhaging with my periods, skin rashes, hair falling out. There were over 30 symptoms, and it just kept progressively getting worse and worse and worse until the point of 8 years into having my implants. I was totally bedridden, could barely take care of myself. Like to take a shower was a whole day event because it would take all my energy to try to feed myself. And at that point I was down, like I was allergic to all foods. So I was down to like 1 to 2 types of foods that I could eat just to sustain myself. I had a great family physician that was trying to find out what was wrong with me. And I'd gone to multiple specialists and not one suggested that it could be my breast implants. I had my gallbladder removed, and I also had ablation because of my periods. And then I went to a blood doctor that was my family physician sent me to that doctor because he thought maybe she could really dissect the blood a little bit more and maybe find out if there was something underlying that was causing why my immune system was, so low. And that office visit was like the worst visit I'd ever had. She scolded me, told me, why am I here? There's sick people here that are dying, that have cancer, and you are just complaining because you're not feeling well, like you have the flu. There's nothing I can do for you. And she kicked me out while I was in tears, bawling, crying, because at that point I was so sick, I couldn't even really articulate or explain. And luckily my husband was with me, so I have a witness, because it was just the worst humiliating experience I've ever experienced. And at that point, I was done with doctors. I'm like, I'm done. I just will go home and die. I don't care. I'm beyond trying to figure out what's wrong with me. And my family physician wouldn't let that happen. He said, I have one more doctor for you to go see. And that was an osteopath. He just felt like maybe he could help me. And I almost didn't go to the appointment. I was going to cancel it. I'm like, no. But My husband pushed me to go, and honestly, like, I still see him today. He was an amazing doctor and helped me throughout. He's not the reason that I found out about breast implants, because at that point, I didn't even tell him that I had breast implants. I didn't talk about it. I didn't even know that I should be talking about it to a physician. But luckily, I have a really good best friend who, childhood, like, we grew up together. She is a science researcher for a university in New York. And she said, you know, Terri, I think it's your breast implants. And I heard her, but I was like, well, I'm being diagnosed with leaky gut, you know, maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. And then about 6 months later, she's like, Terri, I know it's your breast implants. Here's an article from Crystal Hector. Maybe you'll listen to her. Like, her symptoms are all the same as yours. And so I looked at the article, realized, oh, wow, this is me. It's all me. This is exactly how I've been feeling, all the symptoms. And I went and started researching on a Facebook group, a very large Facebook group, and saw so many people just like me, you know, women experiencing the same exact symptoms, the same, you know, everything. And so I started looking into explant. I realized then that it probably was my breast implants. And at that moment, when I actually did realize that it could be my breast implants, I just cried and cried and cried of relief, a little bit of anger, a little bit of frustration that I've gone through everything that I've gone through. And I realized, like, I was laying on my couch, because that's where I was 90% of the time. And I vowed to myself, if it's really my breast implants, I will speak out. I will do whatever it takes to make sure that other women never have to suffer as much as I have suffered, especially when it's so simple as just my breast implants. And I could have had them taken out years ago. My choice. So when I went to go explant, I had no idea what that was going to look like at all. I had a little idea just from, you know, from the other women from the Facebook groups. But as far as for myself, at that point, it kind of was my last ditch effort to find normalcy, find health. And I tried everything else, I felt like. And deep in my gut, I knew it was my breast implants. So my hope was to just not feel like I was dying anymore. I had very little expectation at the time. I just wanted to feel better, and I would do anything to feel better. And as far as my expectation of how I would look, at that point, I didn't really care. I was more concerned about living. So that was more of a priority. But I did look online and look at photos to see like what the expectation would be of what women look like after explant surgery. And I was pleasantly surprised that if you go to a good surgeon, and I can say now for myself, I look better now than I did before my implants and with my implants. I mean, I'm very happy with my outcome now. Right after my explant, that very day, I felt immediate relief. I felt like I could breathe. And the best way that I describe it is like, as far as the relief goes, that there was like a sliver in my body, you know, my finger, and it finally came out. And when you have a sliver in your finger and you know it's just irritating and it's swollen and it's bothering you and it's so uncomfortable, that's the only way I can describe how once the implants were out, that relief of you finally getting that sliver out, and it just feels like, oh, your body can kind of relax and it's not on edge. That's how I felt when my implants were taken out. And then as far as the breathing goes, like it just was immediate first breath. I was still very, very sick after explant because of where I was at the time of explanting. I was, you know, at my lowest. I think my body was shutting down at that point. So it took me probably 3 or 4 weeks to even really get out of bed. But when I did get out of bed and I started to move around, I noticed little things. Like I had to go upstairs and I was able to go upstairs. Like it wasn't the half an hour that it would take me to go up a flight of stairs. It was just a walk upstairs and I was like, oh, wow, like that's cool. And in the very beginning of explant, I thought, oh, wow, I'm like 80% better. I'm like 90% better because I was dying. But I explanted now, it's been 7 years, and I realized, wow, I was really only at 30% better. But because I was so bad, I thought that I'd moved, so high up on the relief of symptoms. But I still had progressively, and I still do have symptoms. So the whole point of this conversation is for other women. I want them to know that it's a journey, that it's an individual journey. And for me personally, I even almost got worse at one point right after explant, where like my body, I had histamine responses to everything I ate, everything I was around. And it took me a while to get that under control so that then I could start slowly, adding foods and trying different things to get healthier. I have 2 symptoms that remain, and that is I still have food sensitivities, but I can now eat 50 plus foods, not 2. So that's nice. And I still have restless leg syndrome, which came to me while I had my implants. I've never had that before. And sometimes it happens during the day. Most of the time it's at the evening. And those are like my 2 remaining symptoms. But overall, I feel so much better. And I truly know it was my implants causing all this, because you don't go from dying to taking out your implants, and that's the only thing you do, to feeling like you're alive again. So the osteopath that I met prior to explanting, I actually came to him and told him, I think it's my breast implants. And he's like, oh, Terri, why didn't you tell me? That would have been the first thing I would have thought of. He's like, I didn't think to ask you. You didn't think to tell me. And, that would have saved us some time. So that was the first thing that, that we worked together. As soon as he realized, he's like, okay, let's get you prepared for surgery. And so we did blood work before surgery, and he did his own protocol due to what my blood results came back. And then we did that for quite some time. Then after surgery, we would do blood work, and then he would kind of guide his protocol to that. And he actually has become now a breast implant illness specialist as far as, what his protocol is, as far as helping women. So, and I'm very thankful that I was like his first, so that we could work together and try to figure out like how to heal. He deals with mitotoxin protocols, so it was he just kind of fit that around, and then he just learned a little bit more. But that's what I did to heal. So the things that I've done for myself would be little simple things that you can do. Like I do Epsom salt baths a lot. I eat extremely clean. I have no choice, because if I don't, I feel bad. But I know that eating clean really helps me feel healthier. And then I try to sweat as much as I can, whether I'm going outside, because I live in Florida, so it's hot. So I don't really have to go into a sauna to get sweaty. And then I also will do coffee enemas when I feel like it's time to do one. I don't really do it all the time. I just do it when my body kind of feels a little toxic. So I just gauge by my own gut and intuition. And like I said, then I work with my osteopath on, my blood work and where I'm at that time of my healing journey. My mindset with breast implants, when prior to getting breast implants, I felt like, the best way to describe it is, my day and age, Wonder Woman was like one of the idols. And so she was beautiful. She had these big breasts, tiny waist, beautiful hips, and that is what the epitome of beautiful was for myself. Like that's who I idolized. And I think if you put Wonder Woman in the terms, she was Wonder Woman. So if you take away all that beauty, but you keep Wonder Woman there, that is what beauty is. You don't have to have the big, voluptuous breasts and the tiny waist and hips. It's the idea of what Wonder Woman stands for. She's empowered. she stands up for other people that are being harmed. So I would tell my pre-implanting self that you're enough, that your body does not define you and who you are, that it is okay to be you, completely you. And in fact, it's better to just be you, completely you, because there's no one like you. And I know these are like, cliche things to say, but being more individual and feeling your own empowerment is definitely worth more than what your body looks like. To anyone that is on the fence of whether they are going to remove their implants or not, I would say to them to look deep into your body and into your gut and see if this is what's right for you. I have plenty of scientific evidence to prove that breast implants do cause all these symptoms, and I can show them to you. But I think deep down inside, we know as women, when we're having problems with our bodies, that we do know, like all I had to hear for myself, and I've worked with so many women, the same thing. As soon as you hear, wow, it could be my breast implants, when you're ready to hear it, you'll hear it and you will remove them. So explanting totally changed my life. With my story, that I was bedridden. So from being bedridden to alive, right there alone is everything. But really the best part about explanting is being able to, I kind of found my life's purpose, and I met these beautiful women along the way of this journey, and I wouldn't change a thing. I would do it exactly the same way. I found my life purpose. I found out truly who I am. I found out how strong I am. So it's impacted my life in so many ways of growth and spiritual growth and loving, myself and loving other people and being more accepting. Because even before explanting, I was on I was just like society, lots of judgment, mostly towards myself, but still, like, people are supposed to look a certain way. They're supposed to act a certain way. And I feel like acceptance has come with my journey of learning how to just be easier with life and just be happier. The main thing that I think that I can do now with my after explanting compared to when I had my implants is, in the beginning of my implants, I wasn't very comfortable with them in the first place. My plastic surgeon overfilled them. I was very, I'm a small frame girl, and I went from a negative A to a double D. So they were huge. And when I asked him, why are they so big? He's like, oh, because you would come back in here and you'd ask me to do this. You'd ask me to fill them. So right away, they felt a little foreign to me, and they were really, really big. So I stopped exercising as much. I wore sweaters to kind of hide and cover my body. I was almost a little bit ashamed of being this, I didn't think that I really wanted to be that voluptuous and show everybody how voluptuous I was. So I think the main thing, other than just being alive after explant, because it did save my life, is that I'm just more comfortable in my body. I love the way I feel. I love the way that I look. I can exercise. I don't feel like top heavy. I just feel very comfortable in my body. So to me, what it means to be an explant thriver is to spread the message about breast implants, to let people know so they don't have to suffer and go through, that horrible experience that I went through. For women to have informed consent, so that they know what they're choosing to do, because we all have a choice. But to be a thriver just means to live the best that I can and send out messages of love and hope, and that, there really is healing after breast implant illness.